this. Yeah, I thought I knew what feeling inadequate felt like, but okay. Yep, that's me. Hello again. Congratulations, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you all, and thank you for taking a few minutes of your time today. So, I'm going to start with life is a brownout. What is a brownout? We'll talk about that here. My name's John. And I have the privilege of flying these things around for a living. This is the HH-60G Pavehawk. It is the primary combat search and rescue asset for the United States government in general. It's our job to go out and find people who have, in some cases, ejected out of their aircraft far behind enemy lines. We push through and find them. We also support ground units who have taken casualties in the ground fight, and often we also rescue civilians who've gotten caught up in that collateral chaos of battle. It's our philosophy to be able to fight our way into a situation, get to who needs us, fight our way out, so that way everybody gets home. It's a fairly risky job, like many others, be it aerial refueling over an active combat zone in the middle of the night using night vision goggles, or what have you. Funny enough, one of the most dangerous things that we do is something that we have to do every time we fly, and that is a brownout approach, or landing in a place where there's a lot of sand or dust. Given the state of conflict in the world, there's a lot of sand where we're flying. So these are some definitions that I found online. I don't really think that they do it justice. Mine is the second one, personally. Let's see if we can get this video to play here. Okay, maybe, I believe. Maybe not. Okay, well, that's sad. We had a video here. Let me see if I can get it to go. Of a brownout approach. Essentially what happens is the closer you get to the ground, the more the dust comes up and envelops the aircraft. It's rather unsettling and not particularly comfortable for anybody involved. You can't see anything for about maybe the last 15 or 20 feet of the approach. Not particularly fun, very easy to roll the helicopter over that way, and frankly, we have to do that almost every single time we land when we're operating in theater. So, essentially, a good brownout is done in the setup. You have to set yourself up way out here, you're landing all the way over here, and if your setup's not good, you're not managing all of your parameters, balancing all the things that you have to balance, all of your forward speed, your drift left and right, your ability to come down to the ground, how fast you're going to impact the ground, that sort of thing. If your setup isn't good, well, the approach is not going to be good. And you will get to a point, honestly, where you're balancing all this stuff, and most importantly, you are balancing your safety margin. Because through this approach, right, you have a margin of safety where you can do this thing, get it on the ground without actually killing everybody in the helicopter, which we don't like to say that. But honestly, that's what you're dealing with. It's at that point that you have to make a decision. Either you have enough capability to fix what's wrong, or you pull in power, you go around, you try again if the situation permits, right? I believe that Notre Dame did a better job of preparing me for that kind of situation than almost anything else in life. Because you can break it down to a generality. You're at the intersection point of your capabilities, of your knowledge of a situation, your instincts, all of that stuff. You're taking that in, evaluating it, and making a decision based on it. And I think they do a great job of teaching you to do that here at Notre Dame. My Notre Dame story starts with this man. This is Eugene Ely. He's a farm kid from rural Nebraska, and he's my great-grandfather. He came here in the 1930s to play football for Elmer Layden, shook down the Thunder, if you will. He studied physical education, great major, and graduated in the mid-30s and promptly came back to marry his high school sweetheart, Marjorie. You'll notice that picture is actually in the main building at his senior ball. Skip a generation, which had a lot of great Notre Dame fandom and storytelling from both them and my grandparents, and you end up with my dad coming here, who I bear no resemblance to whatsoever. He came here in '83 and promptly met my mom, who was in Farley Hall, and then it gets really, really Irish here. So my brother TJ went here. He studied business. I met my wife Nicole here. She was a computer engineer and then came back for a master's in business. Nicole's a triplet. Her triplet sister Claire and Claire's husband Jordan both went here. They were aerospace engineers. The third triplet, Anna, don't worry, we hit the triple play here. She came back for her MBA and met her boyfriend Joe in the program. That's not even everybody, but I've got a time limit. So to say that I had an appreciation for how special this place was, well, everybody does, but it was impressed upon me how special this place was given the background, right? And while I walked away from Notre Dame with a degree, I feel as though the intangibles that you walk away with are far more valuable. So I studied aerospace engineering, and anybody who was in school with me would probably agree that I struggled. I wasn't a great student. And I will never forget, one moment I was in class, and the next I was in Dean Mike Ryan's office, who's the Dean for Academic Affairs for the College of Engineering. Generally not a stellar student if you're sitting in his office on a Tuesday afternoon. But we were talking about my motivations for studying engineering, and frankly, motivation that was no longer there. I was in ROTC. I was going to go try and be a pilot. I wasn't going to go be an engineer. I was slowly killing myself to learn these skills that I felt that I may never actually use. And he stopped me, and he said something that still resonates with me to this day. He said, "You're not really studying engineering. I mean, you are, but you're not. You're studying problem solving. What you're going to graduate with is a toolkit that allows you to break down any problem to its base elements, evaluate them, and then make the best decision based on the information that you have." I think about that 6 times a week, probably. It's such a great framework to look at any problem rather than seeing this big giant problem ahead of you. Instead, you break it down into its elements. And man, we have a lot of practice doing that here at Notre Dame. I feel like you have a really good evaluation of what you can do, what you can't do, and that is an honest, necessary conversation you have to have with yourself. So I use that all the time, and frankly, most of the problems that you deal with in life are not science, math, engineering. It's dealing with a coworker in some issue that you're having in the workplace. It's, some difficult life decision that you've been saddled with, or sometimes it's flying a helicopter into a dust cloud. It's just a problem, and you have to deal with it. And frankly, what's the biggest takeaway here, let's see if I can get this to come up. Well, it'll be a picture. Cool. Well, that's me. I'm flying a brownout in this one. We don't have the doors on. We're flying in southern Arizona, and this was flying an approach that wasn't that great. I could kind of tell from the beginning that this wasn't going to be that great of an approach. My parameters are off. Nothing's set up. I'm trying to make too many changes. Hit the dust comes up, all right, power comes in, and around we go to try again. That is a very important decision to make in a split second, right? And it drives home the point that it's not about making every single landing every single time. It's about landing at the right times when it's most important. It's about knowing yourself, knowing the situation, balancing your skills, and again, making that decision when you need to. It's a balance between risk and reward, between capability and an honest assessment of what you can do. I'm incredibly grateful to Notre Dame for having allowed me to make those foundations and build that, so that way I can hone those skills and continue to do what I've been able to do. I'm incredibly grateful for that. I can't remember the last line of this speech. It's kind of awkward for everybody, isn't it? Well, anyway, the motto of our organization is that others may live. And I'm so thankful for Notre Dame to allow me to fulfill that motto, that others may live. Thank you so much for your time. Go Irish. Thank you.